Hello friends. Recently I had to drop off a relative at the airport and found myself with over an hour to spare. So I thought that let me respond to one of my friend's reminders to review a chart. He has sent me a chart on WhatsApp to review that chart from the perspective of a matrimonial crisis. And since I was at the airport, so I thought let me also use this opportunity to run a practical test to review that whether jyotishportal.com, or especially on the smartphone, will be able to help me do a analysis. This was going to be a serious analysis. So I thought let me see if on the phone how easy or difficult it is using the jyotishportal.com. So these are the data, and then he also mentioned about the remedies. Let's generate the chart. It's very easy. I think this form is easy to fill on the phone. Now, many of you who have been using the Jyotish portal on your smartphone, so you will notice that there is an icon that appears over here. So if you press this icon, so this is going to open a small editor where you can make some notes and save it also. And this becomes sometime very handy, especially on the phone. This is very handy because you are always constrained by the space on the phone. So, but we are going to make some more enhancement in this editor, but this editor is available. So that's the first thing. And then now the first thing you should be doing on your phone is this particular option, and this irrespective of whether you are on a phone or a desktop or a laptop. This option, the signification plus, is a very good option because it lets you know if there is any borderline issue and if there is any close conjunction with the planets or not. So the first thing I did was that to make a note is the ascendant on the you see this has a horizontal scroll. Okay, so you have to horizontally scroll for some of these data which is on the right side to become visible. That's what you can do on the phone. So as is the ascendant on the borderline, so we see that ascendant is not on the borderline. So you have to focus on these column heading, so that will give you an idea. Basically the borderline and the conjunction, these are the important column. According to me, these are important, but there is some more information that you can scroll on the right side and see. So I found that the ascendant has no issue, and the sun has a conjunction with Mercury, as you can see, and then the Saturn has a conjunction with Uranus. So these are the only things that we have to make note of. So I'm going to open the editor and make some notes. The first thing is that no borderline. We saw that there was no borderline issue. No borderline issue. That's first thing. Second is that the Sun Mercury conjunction and Saturn and Uranus conjunction. And then I'm going to save these notes. Now let's take a look at the rules. So at the airport, those rules were not handy, so I had to recollect from the top of my mind. In one of the article, Professor Krishnamurti has laid down in detail how to judge the matrimonial issues in a chart. Now, the first thing is that marriage, most of you already know. 2, addition of a new family member. 7th is the legal bonding house, and 11th is the house of physical bonding. So 2, 7, and 11. This is for the marriage. Separation is all the house that negates 2, 7, and 11. First house, 6th house, and 10th house. So these houses negate marriage. And the professor has mentioned to look at all the planets. This is very important. You have to look at all planets and then you have to make a note whether these planets are neutral or they are signifying 2, 7, 11 or 1, 6, 10 or both. So this gives you a good idea about the overall tilt of the horoscope, in which side it is more tilted. So that's one major rule from Professor Krishnamurti. And then now some of the planets that he mentioned was which are bad for the matrimonial crisis. Those are Mars is bad. He has mentioned that the Mars gives there is some kind of a dissatisfaction going on between the couples, but Mars eventually gives the courage, where they come out and then they start exchanging some verbal arguments. So that comes from Mars. This is the reason why people are afraid of the Mars in the especially in the context of the marriage. So Mars is there, and Mars has to also represent the negative houses, the bad houses, which is 1, 6, and 10, and also 8 and 12. So that, and when we say that there has to be a connection with Mars, then Mars can appear as the Antardashanath or the Prachantardashanath, or Mars can appear as the star lord or sublord for any planet that is sending the signal that now the fight is going to be in the open, means there is going to be a verbal argument. So the Mars shadow has to be there. And then Professor has mentioned about Rahu, that brings in separation. This is the time when somebody is just going to walk out of the house. So that is what is caused by Rahu. And of course, Rahu, like I said, has to also at the same time signify the separate house of separation. Now the next is the Jupiter. Jupiter is the law. So until and unless the Jupiter comes into the picture, and let me remind you again, when we say Jupiter comes in the picture, Jupiter can appear as the Antardashanath or the Pratyantardashanath, or any planet where Jupiter appears as the star lord or the sublord, and at the same time signifying the bad houses, plus the 8 and 12. 8 and 12 also are important. 1, 6, and 10 usually give separation, but not the 8 and 10, 8 and 12. So when 8 and 12 also comes into the picture, then there is some legal decision that is taken. And of course, the role of the Jupiter is important over here. And then Saturn is also bad. Saturn is a malefic planet. So all planets which are malefic by nature, if they become If they start signifying the negative houses, 1, 6, 10, 8, 12, so those are not good indication. So this is the gist of the Professor Krishnamurti's rule. Now, having said that, let's take a look at the chart. Now, this is the chart of that person. So you have to kind of, on the phone, you have to just kind of remember this chart. But I think I will come up with something where you can see at least two things at the same time, the chart and the planet signification both. Now let's look at the planet signification. Now I'm not going to go through each of these planets. I've already mentioned the rules that Professor Shmurti has mentioned. So you can judge each of these planets and see how good or bad they are from the marriage point of view. Our main focus is, since like I said, if somebody approaches you with some specific question on mind, that helps you a lot. This is the right way to do Jyotish. You don't have to shoot some arrows in the dark. Here, what the question is, what is there on the mind of the person, and that way at least you know where to focus on. This is just like, when you go to the doctor, you let the doctor know where the pain is, right? Similarly in Jyotish also, when somebody approaches you, ask him or her what area to focus on. So since he kept on sending me reminders about the impending matrimonial crisis, so I knew that I had to focus on these houses and plus the current Dasha, Antar and Pratyanta Dasha. So let's look at the Dasha, Antar and Pratyanta. So for that you have to click here. This is a very nice layout of the Dasha, Antar and the Antar Dasha, Pratyanta Dasha and even the Sukshma Dasha. So now you see that blinking arrow over there, the blinking icon. So that's Mercury Dasha, right? And if you expand the Mercury, then you find that Mercury Venus, this is the period which is until 12th of January 2027. Now if you expand it further, then you find that currently this gentleman, now you see Mercury, Venus, Mars. It started on sometime around 19th of this period, right? And then the Rahu, which actually ended about maybe 10 days ago. And then comes the Jupiter. So let's assess the first we'll assess the Venus, whether Venus is going to give a separation or not, and then we will look at each of these Pratyanta, Mars, Rahu, which ended, and Jupiter is currently going on, and then Saturn. So let's take a look. So let's close this. And now if you look at the Venus, like I mentioned that Venus is the Karak. Venus is also the Karak for the marriage. So any negative influence on Venus is very sensitive. And in this chart, in this planet signification table, if you look at the strongest of the 1, 6 and 10, that gives the separation. So if you look at it, then you find that the Mercury, which is the Dashanath, is very strong. You see, it is signifying the first house, and it's untenanted also, very strong. And then it is also signifying all these bad houses, 12, 8. Ketu is not a good planet when it comes to matrimonial disagreement. And then at the sublord level, it is signifying the sixth house. So not a good indication from Mercury, which is the Dashanath. Dashanath has to allow. The rule for Dashanath is either it's neutral, or it denies, or it says yes, this will happen, right? So Mercury here we see is a very strong significator of 1 and 10, untenanted, and then 12, 8 and 6 also. So Mercury is really bad. Now let's look at the Venus. The Venus, we find that it is a strongest significator of the 10th house, because Venus is in the star of moon. And if we look at the chart, you see moon is there in the 10th house, right? And Venus is signifying the 10th house. Not only this, Venus is also the Kutumbakarak. You see, Venus is the lord of the second house. So you have to see like this. The Kutumbakarak planet Venus is creating a yoga for separation by being in the star of moon. So this is how you have to look at it. Though it is indicating 11th, Venus is indicating both the things, but that's what is happening in this person's life also. Marriage and then divorce. Now let's look at the Mars Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, sorry, that's already over. So if you look at the Mars, so Mars also very strongly signify, and Mars is untenanted. If you look at the flag, that is U flag indicates the untenanted, right? So Mars is untenanted, very strong, and it also signifies the 10th house. So the Mars is not really positive. Then the Rahu Prachantar, which ended about maybe 10 days ago. So, and Rahu is a very strong significator of the 6th house. If you look at the Rahu, you see Rahu is untenanted, and it is a very strong significator of the 6th house. So Rahu is also not really very good. That, I think that's what happened. The eventual separation, the goodbye thing kind of happened before the Rahu ended, which happened about 10 days ago. In fact, my friend confirmed when I called him. So he said, yeah, the separation actually happened. So Rahu did its job. Now let's look at, since now the separation has happened, so obviously the question is that, is there going to be any reconciliation or reunion or compromise? That's one of the question. Or will it go to the court, and what will happen? Those kind of a thing. Then so when I was looking at it, and I realized that the Jupiter period has started, and this is where sometimes it becomes tricky. So the Mercury Dashanath is not favorable. The Venus Antardashanath is not favorable, especially when Venus is also the Karak for the matrimonial bonding. And then now if you look at Jupiter, you will see that Jupiter is actually very strongly indicating the 7th house and the 2nd house and the 11th house. So these houses are kind of strongly showing that there is going to be, and like I mentioned, this is where you might sometimes get stuck up. And I'll show you that how you find a solution to it. Now you might think that there is going to be some kind of a reconciliation, and they will compromise, and life will be back to its normal course, but this is not going to happen. So Jupiter gives you this impression that the thing is going to happen, but I told my friend that there is this case, this might go to the court, and there is going to be a formal judgment for the separation, the legal thing. And why I said this was because when I looked at the Saturn uh, Pratyanta after the Jupiter, you see the Jupiter and Antara is this is Jupiter's Pratyanta is going to end sometime in December this year, and then the Saturn starts. If you look at Saturn, Saturn is extremely bad. It is untenanted, and whenever you see this combination, 6 and 12, this combination is very bad. This actually always, indicate some kind of a separation. If the question is about partnership, then this indicates a separation in the partnership. If the question is, when I say question, it doesn't matter whether it's already a birth chart you're looking at. But here the question is about the marriage, and untenanted Saturn is very strongly indicating the sixth house and the 12th house. Apart from, of course, the other bad houses, 12 and 8 combination, this is there. So this is what made me sure that there is not going to be any compromise. So Jupiter seems to be giving some last effort in terms of compromise. Your ninth house is also there, which is for the negotiation, reaching out, something of that sort. But this is not going to work out because the Jupiter clearly indicate that there is going to be a complete separation. There is not going to be any reconciliation. So I told him this thing, and then he said, "Yeah, there's some legal notice." But obviously, these things, when in the life these things happen in anybody's life, and there is a crisis. Many people get involved, caught up in that kind of crisis. So then he asked me about the remedy also. So the remedy part was, first let me show you this chart, the whole chart on a laptop screen. So on the phone you can see that we had to go through some space constraint, but I think we did a good job, especially this editor that we have created. And I think if we make it some more powerful, then it can help a lot in writing notes, and you will be able to view a couple of things that are important at the same time. Now, another issue that I had was that when I did this analysis, then I thought that how I'm going to send this to my friend. I wanted to send a chart and then my notes, comments, and everything. So we have this option, and I'll show you. This option is in when you go to the print. This option, the print. Let's look at what the print does. Okay, so when you go on the print, then it gives you the option to save this as a PDF on your phone, or save as a Word file that you can edit and write your notes. But I find this very hassle, especially on the phone. You have to download, then you have to find out where the file is, things like that. So, but that option is there. So many of you who are more expert on using the phone, they can make use of this, save as a PDF or a Word file, and then share that Word file in the through WhatsApp. But I thought that we should have a far more simpler solution. So while driving back, I thought about a very good idea. So that I'm going to discuss with my team and colleagues over here, and we will implement that idea both for the phone as well as for the laptop. So that will make life very easier when you want to share the horoscope and your comments also. Just one click and you're done. No hassle of downloading and things like that. So now let me show this whole thing on the laptop screen. Since the chart was saved on the phone, so let's open it over here. there are 2 or 3 things that I would like to discuss before I end up this presentation. The one of the important thing is about the ruling planet. The ruling planet in the of the birth chart. Okay, not the ruling planet of the uh, astrologer city, nothing. The ruling planet of the on the birth chart, and that you find over here. You can see the ruling planets over here. So you can find these ruling planets. So we are only concerned with, and I'll show you how to what Professor Krishnamurti has mentioned about these ruling planets. So, and we are just concerned with the 5 ruling planets. So ascendant, star lord is Sun, and the ascendant sign lord is Mercury, and the moon star lord is Jupiter, moon sign lord is Mercury, and day lord is Venus. In one of my videos, I had pointed this out that Professor Krishnamurti has mentioned that many important events in a person's life happen when these ruling planet they start appearing in the timeline of the Dasha. So here, if you look here, then you find that we have Mercury, very strong ruling planet, and the Venus also appears as the ruling planet by being the day lord, and then of course the Jupiter is also there. So when you are when you are judging some very important event in a person's life, you might want to keep this point also in your mind, that the ruling planet of the horoscope, birth horoscope, you should also be taken into consideration, because the major events sometimes get influenced by these ruling planets. Now comes the remedy part. When somebody is going through a crisis, this is one aspect where they would be looking for some advice. So when my friend asked me, then I recommended, since the Venus, we know the Venus is the Antardashana, so I said that you have to do Venus related remedy, and I suggested these 2. The help the girls with marriage support or the education support. Girls, because women, the Venus represents the woman, and or support the artist or the craftswoman, because the art and craft is also represented by Venus. Now, one very important point that I discussed with him was that one could donate to the organization. There are a lot of organizations that are helping with helping the girls with marriage or the education, the needy girls, and then of course there are organizations that are supporting the art and craft artist. But donating to the organization is fine, that you can even do in a public knowledge, but that remedy is, I would say, will work only 40%. Only 40%. The real magic will only happen when you do a Venus related, in this case, if the Venus related remedy is done on a one-on-one basis. Means this person has to find some girl and then create a rapport of extending a helping hand, and then get in communication with the family and regularly take updates. And so that way what happens is a soft corner is created towards the person, and when the soft corner is created, then the blessings are there. Those blessings are the best remedy. That's what I always recommend. One on one and getting a blessing, that is the best thing that can be done. But it takes efforts. It's not simple, and that's what when I was discussing with my friend, then he said, "Oh, this is kind of difficult, the one-on-one thing, but the donating to the organization, NGOs, all these, that could be done." So in that case, I told him that it will be effective a little bit, like maybe 30%, 40%, but not very effective. So I will publish the list of all these remedies which are inspired by the feeling of the seva, and that in turn creates a blessing. That is the best remedy. So that was the remedy part that I discussed with him. And of course, like I mentioned, he was very skeptical, and he was not sure if that remedy, the one that I suggested, one-on-one, could be done. If you look at this person's Dasha, then you find that, see, now he's going through the Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, and then next year, 2027, then he has Mercury, Sun. All these periods are not good actually. And then in 2027, he will have the Sun period. If you look at Sun is actually very bad in this horoscope. And currently, since he is running the Jupiter Pratyantar, and even if Jupiter is bad, still Jupiter is Guru. So this is the right time that he should do the remedy, and that way he will have some divine help. So that's all in this video, and do share your comments and share your thoughts, and I will see you soon with another video. Thanks for watching.